Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us here for the first round of playoffs between two Group A teams and what's going to be a rematch. This is Team Scorch versus Team Insane Banana Posse. Scorch being the second seed out of Group A, and Insane Banana being the fourth seed out of Group A. So, um, hopefully, we get a lot of people joining us. I know Herwick will be on the opening. Uh, we'll be doing another opening round playoff matchup between Ghost and PB and J. That's going on at the same time. But yeah, just side note that Scorch will have Banana Soar subbing again. I believe he is finishing out the regular season, and this will be the first time we see the original lineup for Insane Banana come out, as their top laner had to go play for a college team. So congrats to him on making that, and wish him the best of luck. But War Initiate goes back to his OG role in top lane, and then we have Ghost Tiger coming in. So I did get a touch of a late start, so we do have the draft going on here. And just like I mentioned in the Midwest Weekly preview, uh, Mel is enabled for all of the playoffs. So if you don't want to play against it, you're gonna have to ban it. Or there are, I believe, some series that are discussing just handshaking no Mel because she was just released 48 hours ago and has already been hotfix nerfed. So we see the bans come out. Scorch ends up taking this Mel first pick, and saying Banana brings out the Zyra and the Corki, and then Scorch ends up bringing out Skarner and Seraphine. So Mel, to my knowledge, is a three, potentially four-way flex. I think the only role that I know she can't pull off is jungle. But if someone tries to pull this off, this could be the series you might see that. But I doubt it. We see Skarner. So we see Seraphine and the B3, and then Insane Banana bringing out Sona. So this is, I believe, our first Sona of the split, which is quite interesting. Not a champion we see that often, honestly, at all. I think Seraphine just does what she does better. I will say though, Sona does win in the scaling department. She does better. She goes to the late game, and then she has so much utility, so much shielding and healing within her kit that it works out really well. She has a pretty low cooldown ult once her passive gets completed, and still a really good support in the late game. Probably the most late game oriented support that we have in the game here. So it's going to be quite interesting to see where this Mel ends up going. So it's going to be quite interesting overall here. Sorry, I'm still trying to catch up to a few things here, but glad I could bring this to you. Insane Banana ends up getting rid of the Aatrox and the ever so popular and famous Ares Yone top. Ares is still one of the only top laners playing Yone into a lot of different situations and has had a lot of success on it so far. And then we see a Rumble and a Orin band coming out of Scorch and Renekton being brought out. So I am of the believer that this Zyra is most likely going in the jungle. It's not something we've seen. AP junglers have kind of fallen off the split, but Flame Dog has his own unique, just, I don't want to say wonky, but just he has a very unique champion pool. Stuff like the Mbessa. And we see a Nasus coming out here. Okay. In to my knowledge, Nasus, if he can get through the laning phase into Renekton, can definitely outscale and outpush Renekton in the side lane here. And honestly, Insane Banana doesn't have like a lot of lockdown per se. I mean, it does feel bad to walk into Zyra Corki Sona, but Nasus Skarner have no issues just playing this kind of front line, or in this case, like Skarner playing this front line while Nasus splits pushes. Mel, Seraphine, Jinx have like really solid wave clear. So I think it's kind of on Insane Banana here to potentially find like a go button or something like that. Okay, so this Corki is going to go mid. And we see Sivir in the bot lane here. So we see Crackler taking this wave clear thing. So I feel like this is going to be a relatively slow paced game, as both these team comps don't have a lot of engage and a lot of playmaking. But these extended fights, I think, work out much better for the side of Scorch. But if Scorch does get baited and ends up walking into Insane Banana, you're walking into Sivir, Sona, Zyra. So I think it's they could definitely turn the tides on a fight if they get there early and have setup. I do like Insane Banana's objective control if they get there early and can set up here. But also likewise, I think Scorch, if they get ahead, Insane Banana has a really hard time walking into Fog of War. So that's going to be interesting to see how these teams posture going into these objectives. So I'm gonna let them go ahead and start, and I'm going to take a quick second and post this in the server for people to share.
Who dares defy my will?
We must all make our choices.
Sneak evidence. Seriously? Seriously? Only flesh, please.
Alright, we got everything posted here in the server. Hairwick is up on the Twitch channel. I think we are good to go here. These are the teams that Ghost 2-0s on the daily. I don't know about that. Like, I got nothing but respect for Team Ghost. I know they have very talented players, but Ghost has been very inconsistent. Their highs have been really high, but their lows have been really low.
All right.
And these two teams from Group A, I think, can put up a really big fight against a team like Ghost. So This will end up being a Mel mid. Ghost ain't seen bananas. Oh, we got Calico in the chat. No, I'm not gonna let them just trash talk my fellow Group A compatriots here. Like Group A was very top heavy, but Scorch and Insane Banana ended the season really well, and some of the 3-4 seeds from the other groups didn't. They ended seasons on a loss. So I think Group A has a really good chance against any of those teams. And I mean, we have the only undefeated team in the league in coin flip. So, but all right, let's think about how this is going to go here. Switch over to the client. So, couple things to note here that I'm very curious to see going into this game is we have Bananasaur filling in for the rest of the split here for Scorch. So Tim, unfortunately, life kind of ganked him, and he's hasn't been able to put time into the game. But Bananasaur is 2-0 while subbing in, and he's a very capable player. Definitely had the chance to play against him when we faced Scorch in week 3, and he was a really solid player. Think he's still kind of meshing with the team, but this week off playing Mel and the Scorch team having a really solid 4-person lineup around them that has played together for a while, I think the Bananasaur is going to get incorporated really well. And then for the side of Insane Banana, this is the OG lineup. Sorry, 3-0. Well, 2-0 with Banana, 3-0 with the subs. Because Banana did sub week 5. I got you, Callie. Um, the side for Insane Banana, this is a team that played the whole regular season with a different lineup. That was finding their strides near the end of the season and was playing really well. They played their own brand of League of Legends, and what I mean by that is, War Initiate was originally a top laner. Uh, so he played a lot of top lane tanks, stuff like the Nautilus. I was fortunate enough to play against his Cho'Gath. He played a Galio. But this team with Ghost Tiger back, Ghost Tiger being a very talented mid laner that we've seen last split when this team made their mark in the league, knocking off Sad Jellyfish, where he got to play his former one-trick Talia 3 games and absolutely popped off on that one. But he also has a really good Hui. Evidently, he's been putting time in the Corki. I wouldn't surprise me if he put in some games on the Mel as well, since she just came out. So overall, I'm really excited to see this. But with that being said, with War Initiate going back to top lane, how much of that did he remember? How much of the matchups does he know how to play out? And overall, how's that transition back there going to be? I know for a fact I have a couple of these guys on my friends list that they've been spamming some flex quite heavily, and they're wanting to put together a really strong showing in the playoffs and potentially make a deep run. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out for them. And I got a message from one of the players that the game crashed, so we might hop in here directly into a pause. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Hopefully it doesn't crash on my side. I forgot to load into the spectate, so this might take an extra second or two. But yeah. So, Mel. I have very limited experience on Mel. I've not actually laned against a Mel. I just got off of doing some 1v1s with another mid laner in the league where he wanted to practice against Mel and as Mel. We didn't get the chance to have him play Mel into me, but I did get a chance to play Mel a little bit. And she is a lot simpler than I thought she was going to be. Her Q range is deceiving. Okay, so yeah, this crashed. Let's try this again. But Mel's poke is stationary, but if you get hit by several of the bolts, can definitely do quite a bit of damage. The E is really good if you're walking into her. Her W is very situational, but has a lot of utility behind it. And we're in game. There we go. So I look forward to see like what happens when you have people like maining the champion and seeing how to play out certain situations. But here we go. Looks like we got a little bit of a 5-point stance coming out. I see Bananasaur brought the first strike, which I actually think is decent. She doesn't have a fantastic early game, but she does scale with items quite well. The only thing about Mel that I've kind of read up on and noticed is that she doesn't have much access to some form of like a damage amp, and when I say that is there's no type of percentage pen. There's really not much bonus magic damage or anything of the sort.
Minions have spawned.
In her kit, it's just straight up, do I hit abilities? Yes, then I do more damage. So, the projectile reflect on W has a little bit of amplification to it. But for the most part, it's her damage is gated to her hitting abilities, her getting the passive on, and there's really no tricks behind it. So I'll zoom out here just a little bit and let the directed camera kind of take over. So has a pretty strong level 1-2, but then her level 3-4 is interesting depending on what kind of matchup she's in. I did play around with not taking the W until level 5 just to see if her early lane poke can feel a little more impressive in certain matchups. It didn't feel bad, but the matchups that I did play her into, the W didn't have the greatest amount of value. So I think in this matchup, because Corki won't traditionally max his Q, at least to my knowledge, could be something a little different now. The W reflect have a little bit of value. War taking a slight turret shot there. Bananasaur using deflect there to deflect the quirky Q back into him. Doesn't do the greatest amount of damage, really. I believe the reflect damage is based off AP. But see Ghost Tiger looking pretty well informed, pushing Mel in here. First gank here coming onto Mel, which Bananasaur did a really great job dodging the Stranglethorns coming out from Zyra here, and Zyra and Mel both burning flashes here to get that. So good on Bananasaur to dodge that gank here. But we got a gank here in the top lane, which War does a good job flashing away from the Skarner E. But we do see a plus 24 first blood going over to Nasus here. And overall, having first blood on Nasus, he got the Q stack off of the kill there on the champions. Overall puts him in a really solid spot. Even going for the tier start here. Okay, interesting. Are we potentially seeing a Muramana coming out of this Nasus? We see Calico roaming up here, potentially looking at ganking War again, or getting this first set of grubs. War ends up Eing in, so that really hurts. We see Rusty ends up taking the route through the wall, and Calico ends up snaring him. And that's another kill onto Renekton. Another death on the Renekton, I should say, as this kill ends up going over the Calico. But we do see Insane Banana doing a fantastic job of trading objectives here, going after this dragon here. And this Cloud Drake, I think, is pretty useful for the most part. I mean, we're talking about some out of combat movement speeds. The slow resistance, I think, is useful. It's not the greatest, but useful against Wither and stuff like that. So Rusty ends up posturing up top again for another gank. I think they're going to continue to try and punish War Initiate. No, he ends up backing off here, so. I think now with War being a little behind here, he might be able to make a purchase of something like some Grievous Wounds. The Executioner's calling to maybe help with these trades a little bit, but Rusty ends up coming top yet again here. And ends up having a great ult to get War into turret range. But War does a really nice double E to go through the turret and come out the backside here. And we see Rusty's flashing, and then Ghost ends up getting popped by Ares here as he gets another plus 24 on that. And that is the first feats of strength going over to the side of Scorch, as they were the first ones to get 3 kills. And while we have a second, see Ares has 135 stacks here at 8 minutes. It's pretty decent. We've seen Banana Sword doing quite well, snaring up Flame Dog here, and then Rusty comes through the wall. And that's while Mel has very limited CC, the CC that she has is quite good. And we see the Reflect coming back here on the Ghost Tiger, but Skarner's drifting from across the map here, across that mid lane, to then pin Ghost Tiger, and Mel ends up getting those 2 kills here. So this Mel getting off the ground quite a bit now, and it ends up being 5-0 here in favor of Scorch, and they're up just a little under about 2,400 gold. Ares doing a fantastic job holding this freeze up top here. I think Renekton's going to need some type of like Grievous Wounds to try and continue the trade into this Nasus. But I feel like he's already at this point here where he's just going to be able to trade back. And we see both top laners popping their ult here. For this big fight. See lots of trading going on everywhere in the map here. The bot lane's trying to push back Boonstra. Nice capture here by Rusty. This Flame Dog ends up having to flash out after popping ult, and Banana Sword ends up taking that one with a Mel passive here. So now Mel has 3 kills on a killing spree, and is performing quite well here. We see the Young Tao Wild Arrows coming out of Corki. Not something I've seen before. War Initiate trying to sneak in a plate here, but ends up getting withered here by Ares. And you see Ares yet again. All 3 of his kills have been with Q. So now Ares is at 213 stacks and going so far here. We see Ghost Tiger having to flash out away from Banana Sword as she's already completed her first item plus boots here. Oh, we see big ults coming out of Rusty Crow and Calico. to end up taking out 2 members of Insane Banana and then chase down the 3rd one as the bot lane and the jungler for Insane Banana go down. Trying to posture for this dragon here. And this ends up being a 10-0 kill discrepancy in favor of Scorch here. They're now up about 5,000 gold. And that ends up being feats of strength going over to the side of Scorch as they got 3 epic monsters, both sets of grubs, and now a dragon. And they were also the first to 3 kills. So now let's see where Casper ends up spawning. Casper's going to spawn topside here, and what I believe is going to be Voracious Otacon. It would be my guess. Actually, we can hover over here. Voracious, yeah, Otacon is spawning top lane, which will give them the temporary GA here. Flame Dog ends up getting into this brush here. We see Ghost Tiger ends up jumping over. War Initiate also jumps over. And it ends up being a shutdown given over to the Croc here. So Insane Banana ends up finding one back. And that meld damage is actually absurd. We see Ares potentially all-inning War here as he moved forward for a trade. And underestimated Ares' damage. I mean, he was 3-0-2 at the time of the full Trinity Force, so... And having 6 grubs onto this Trinity Force Nasus here at 15 minutes is going to be able to do, excuse me, a lot of turret damage. We see Rusty coming from behind the scenes here to get onto Ghost Tiger again. And Banana doing a fantastic job of weaving in not only the EQs, but auto attacks that give more passive stacks onto Quirky, and then pop the R for a big nuke. The R damage is gated on how many passive stacks you have. The more passive stacks you can weave into there, the more damage the R is going to do. And that ends up being a 5-0 for Bananasaur on this Mel, as he's doing a fantastic job piloting this champion. But we see Ares all-inning War Initiate again as he moved up. And Ares gets another kill with his Q. And unfortunately, War Initiate just not having a great game here. He's got the only kill, which was a shutdown, but has been picked on a lot. Now 1-6-0 here. We see Bananasaur pushed up here. Now finds himself trapped with 3 members. Ares is ghosting down. But we also see Rusty picking on Flame Dog here in the mid lane here. So Ghost Tiger ends up falling just short as they chase Bananasaur straight into Ares here. And now we see Rift Herald getting pushed. Boonstra's got the Jinx passive going on here. Oh, but they gotta kill this turret here. Oh, what a nice drift for the side of Scorch. And here at the 18-minute mark, they're gonna get this first inhib and potentially ride the Rift Herald out. Nope, death timer's still a little too short for all of that, but they get Earth Dragon on their way out here. And this has been all Scorch from the get-go. Oh, damage. Nice spell shield coming out of Crackler to spell shield the Mel ult. Oh my, Boonstra's just doing a bullet. Oh, but a nice flash take here by Rusty Crow as he ends up grabbing Flame Dog and Crackler, two of the backliners. Oh, Rusty having himself a fantastic game. Comes through the other side here, but Threshold Day ends up ulting the team of Scorch here, but it's still just not enough. Ares ends up going to the back line, queuing Threshold Day here to get another kill. Ares having an absolute monster game here, 7-0-4. I mean, the whole team of Scorch is actually having a monster game. 7-0-4, 0-2-16, 8-0-6. And that's 2 inhibs down by the 19.5-minute mark for Team Scorch. They definitely look like they've put in a lot of work in this week off and played just a lot of games to get the coordination down here. We see some of the tier 4 boots coming out here. I do think Calico bought not only the correct ones, but in the correct time frame. I don't think the mage boots are ever worth buying until like 4th or 5th item. We see Rusty ends up putting a front line here, but War TP's in, and this is going to be a pretty big Otacon fight here, but they're doing a pretty good job cutting down the tanks here overall. But Ares is still in the back line, chasing with Boonstra here. And Ghost Tiger looks like he's going to end up falling. And that's passive onto Jinx. And now Threshold Day falls to refresh that passive. And we see Scorch now posturing for Otacon here. And while they did lose their jungler in Rusty, it felt like they had enough tank stabs to just walk through there and tank a lot of the Zyra planes and everything. Oh my. Flame Dog's still here. Gets a shutdown on the Ares. Gets a shutdown onto Bananasaur as well. And it looks like the team of Scorch is going to have to back off and let Otacon reset here. And Ghost Tiger ends up TPing in, but I don't think they have enough tank stats here. Also, Rusty is back up. The rest of the Insane Banana team has to fight off these super minions in their base. So I still think this is an Otacon fight that is really in favor of Scorch here. But Flame Dog doing a really solid job. Posturing, setting up plants. Oh, but a big takeaway here by Rusty ulting both Flame Dog and Ghost Tiger. And they end up taking out Flame Dog, so no smite here. But we see Rusty ends up falling here. Let's see. And Boonstra ends up getting the Otacon here. which they can now chase because they have revives. That's a double kill for Boonstra. So what an insane Otacon fight here. It looked like that was Insane Banana's way of potentially getting a lot of gold back and trying to mount some type of comeback in this game, but they still find themselves down 10,000 gold here. And Mellow comes out here as it helps take down Crackler and War Initiate. But remember, these guys have the full respawn, so they can sit here and fight all day if they want to. And they're going to do their best to take out this inhib. I think Boonstra had a rough... I don't think he should have popped the barrier there, but the ult ends up coming out, taking out Ghost Tiger as well. And I think Bananasaur is probably the only one that understands that he has the revive here. I think if that Q ends up hitting Flame Dog, he might have enough damage to burst him down. But while this is all going on, we see Scorch ends up taking the other dragon here. So let's take stock of what we got here. So 30 kills to 6 in favor of Scorch, 51,000 to 40,000, so just shy of a 12,000 gold lead. 3 dragons to 1, and all 6 grubs in favor of Scorch here. But they have 2 inhibs down. Oh, and another big flash takeaway here from Rusty Crow. As War Initiate flashed out, but ends up diving back in to take out Ares here. But this still ends up getting Boonstra a refresh on the passive, and Mel ult ends up coming down as well to take out a member here. But Boonstra ends up snowballing off of the deaths here, and the Jinx Get Excited passive ends up cleaning up this fight here. And we see Scorch in a very decisive game 1 take down Insane Banana. So let's just kind of go over some of this here. So we see Mel and Jinx topping the damage charts here. War Initiate just not having a great time. Boonstra putting up a 15-0 game record here. Bananasaur ends up putting up 11-1. Just the whole Scorch team in general having a really solid game. And I just don't think the game was ever slow enough for Insane Banana to set up and take advantage of it. When Scorch had the lead, they ended up pressing and pressing and pressing it, which I think was really smart of them. And it looks like we will have a side swap here for game number 2, as Insane Banana took blue side. I think talking about what we've seen in the 2 drafts, I like what Insane Banana put together as far as team comp wise, but overall I felt like the comp that they chose doesn't play to their strengths. Flame Dog being a really prominent like carry and ganking jungler, going on to something like Zyra that kind of depends on the other team to not only walk into them but doesn't have the greatest amount of ganking power is quite interesting. And then he didn't have much CC in his lanes to set him up in case he did end up ganking there. I know he got off a really solid gank onto Bananasaur's Mel, but it still didn't result in a kill. And I just felt like it's a little too um, kind of slow paced for the way Flame Dog wants to play the game. I think Ghost Tiger and the rest of the team like looked well. I just Scorch really picked on War Initiate and started to snowball the game after that. So I think Scorch played it out really well, but they kept the lead. They kept the fast-paced game going, and never allowed Insane Banana to get a foot forward to set up and allow their team comp to do what they want to do. So I think I would like to see just a little bit of a change here. Maybe War going on to something like pure tank, even busting out like the Nautilus that he's accustomed to playing, and maybe if Ghost Tiger has the Talia or the Hui or something to match up with, I think that those type of champions will be able to at least help stabilize a game if they get behind a little bit. Hui for sure does a really fantastic job of that. So let's see what they end up picking here in the draft. Going into game number 2. Let's pull up the draft here. I'll also be curious to see if, with them going on the blue side, if Scorch bans the Mel or takes a chance that Insane Banana hasn't played it, or maybe they have a counter towards it. It'd be quite interesting to see here. While we are waiting for these teams to start up draft, I'm going to go grab something to drink. And as I figured, since I got up to get something to drink, looks like draft already started. So we see Scorch getting rid of the Quirky Karma and J4. And Insane Banana gets rid of the Amumu, Skarner, and Mel. So Insane Banana looking like they're not as comfortable on Mel. So, and Insane Banana ends up taking Threshold Days Seraphine here. Scorch ends up locking in the Wukong. And lock it in. Lock it in, Calico. And we see the Zillion coming out by Calico. This is one of her signature champions. So I'll be excited to see this. Vic, nice of you to join us. This is game number 2. We just got done with game 1, good sir. And what was a decisive game by Scorch coming out. We seen Mel make her appearance in the split and absolutely popped off. Bananasaur piloting her quite well. And then now we see the Talia coming out. So Ghost Tiger back on his, I would consider his main. And we found out last split in an interview that he used to one-trick Talia. So see what their answer is to that. And the Zyra coming out as well here. So definitely a lot of AP damage already being shown here for the side of Insane Banana. And we see, as I said that, we see the Galio coming out, which is a pretty nice answer. I do think Talia still pushes Galio back quite a bit until he gets some MR. But once that happens, Insane Banana's gonna have to find some type of answer for it. Mel seems broken. I think Mel is strong if you don't have hard engage into her. I think she does a lot of damage over time, a la like a Cassiopeia, but I think she's hard to just run into mindlessly. So I think from what I've gathered, just from watching some gameplay, seeing some games, some streamers throw some games out there, it's really hard to just bonsai into her without like hard engage. But also she did get hotfix and nerfed today, so her damage is definitely much lower. So we'll see what that ends up happening. Going into the second ban phase, we have Varus and Ornn being taken away by Scorch, and Insane Banana ends up getting rid of Boonstra's Jinx and Ashe. So they're expecting Boonstra to gravitate towards a regular ADC, which Sivir would be one of those. I think that's probably next best in slot as far as AD carries that are remaining here. I mean, Varus, Jinx, Ashe, Corki all taken out. So let's see what Insane Banana wants to answer with. I know Crackler has some mages in his pocket here, but I think a mage would be really hard to play into. You already have plenty of AP damage here. And we see another one of the War Initiate specials here as we got an Urgot coming out. This is a champion that he plays quite a bit. He just enjoys this champion, and it's a very good kind of solo front line as far as standing your ground when it has stuff behind it that can help put on damage. And then Crackler Ace ends up bringing out the Ezreal. And we see Scorch answering potentially with a Kale here. I actually kind of like the Kale. Oh, well, we have an Azir here. We've seen Ares play this Azir top. This makes sense for Ares to be on Azir instead of Galio. I feel like Urgot can punish the Galio quite heavily here. Azir is just Kale with extra steps. I like that. I may use that quite a bit. I do think Kale's overall utility is a touch better, but Azir does have self peel, so that part's quite interesting as well. So, um, yeah, this Azir. I know when we were looking at the scouting report to play Scorch in week 3, my top laner asked what Ares played, and I said he has a game on top of Azir, and he just went, "Are you fucking serious?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes." Ares is that top laner that loves to play just a bunch of mechanical champions, and I say that after he just played Nasus, but Azir top, he plays it quite well. Guarantee you, if you're a Gangplank main and you run into him in solo queue, that's probably not a good day. So, I'm assuming this is Azir's going top. It makes the most sense, but we'll see what's coming out of this.
Who dares defy my will?
We must all make our choices. My countermeasures are ready, even if you are not.
That just goes to show you you're nothing but a whiskey delta.
And, yeah, as noted, this is a Azir top. Alright, War. Let's see how you handle this one, buddy. I I like the Galio delivery system here that they've got set up. I mean, Wukong being able to get into the back line is quite simple,
What's the worst that
given
could
that
happen?
the Insane Banana draft, but there is a lot of shit that he's going to get hit with afterwards and when this Galio comes out. I will say that is the advantage of being, well, in this case, 5 ranged champions, is that the setup for Wukong has to be really good or the Galio ult just doesn't catch enough people. I mean, you've got stuff like Ezreal that can kind of arcane shift away. Talia puts up rocks. Zyra has the plants here. I do think for what Scorch seen, they drafted well, but there's still a lot of stuff that Insane Banana can set up and make it quite difficult. We did see last game that they had a similar comp where it was just going to be hard to walk into them, and Scorch got so far ahead that it was difficult for Insane Banana to set up. That Otacon fight though kind of showcased what their comp could do for the most part, and being able to kind of get into a position, stand their ground, and if you don't have the mobility or the tank stats to engage through it, you're going to take a boatload of damage. But also, depending on how much foresight they got into, I could see a world where Wukong Inviso dashes like into them. I gotta come up with a better word than that. Uh, if Wukong just proxy invisibility and like dashes into them, Zillion R means that he's gonna guarantee himself Galio delivery and not die. So that is an interesting concept. Though I think Zillion R kind of wants to stay reserved for the back line, but honestly, there's not much threatening the back line. I mean, if she R's whoever Urgot ults, it's a guarantee for Urgot ult to just bring them in, and when they revive, get Galio ulted. Like there's some wonky type of situations where uh, it is somewhat easy to walk into. Zillion speed up also I think is going to be very useful as well. So all in all, we'll see how this game goes. If Insane Banana has a better early game, then I could see them being able to stand their ground. Alright, and we are into game number 2 of Scorch and Insane Banana. We have Scorch on the red side and Insane Banana on the blue side here.
Minions have spawned.
Oh, and we see the first adaptation here. As they said, if Ares is going to play this Azir top, screw it. We're just going to lane swap out of it. So, makes a lot of sense here. As Talia has traditionally been kind of a pseudo soft counter. She can put the rocks in front of his ear, and it's hard for him to shuffle. But also, I think Urgot has a really big advantage into the Galio matchup, and also like War used to play mid before this lineup change, so he's definitely has an idea of the lane cadences and everything regarding that. So I do think though it is hard to not get ganked as a mage top lane. So we'll see if they try to punish Ghost Tiger being up top here in a longer lane. He does have Ghost, but I don't know if Ghost is enough. But we see the bot lane here of Crackler and Threshold Day ends up getting Boostress Flash here, so already a really solid early game for the bot lane of Insane Banana. We see a potential gank coming in here as they end up engaging onto War. And he just ends up walking out. His E-Shield did tank a little bit of the damage there. We see Rusty pathing up to the top lane as well. And we see a first blood coming out here as Threshold Day lands the double E. And Crackler just ends up taking out Calico. And now we see Flame Dog pressuring Boonstra here underneath the turret. Boonstra has a nice spell shield here, but Crackler ends up landing the Q here. So that's 2 kills going over the Crackler's Ezreal. As the, like I said, the bot lane of Insane Banana really having a solid early game. Already has 1 plate here. 2 out of 3 kills going towards them for the first feats of strength. So a little bit of adversity coming out for Scorch here. Let's see how they handle this. Oh, wait a sec. So Rusty was backing in the brush, but Flame Dog's passive plant bulb spawns there to show that Rusty was there. And luckily Rusty, all he had to do was back out into another brush and complete his recall there, but that could have been very dangerous for Rusty Crow.
You're standing on shaky ground.
Ooh. Quite a bit there. So, we see Crackler coming back after the first blood and the other kill with a Sheen and Tear of the Goddess here. So, really good start to this Ezreal scaling. You see Ghost Tiger kind of picking on Ares a little bit here in this top lane. Nice empowered Q coming out of Ghost here. A little short on mana here, but really good pressuring for Ghost. I do think the one advantage that Talia has going to top lane that other mages don't have is her recalls. She can get proper cheater recalls in just because of the way her passive works against walls. But we see Flame Dog and the rest of the Insane Banana group posturing for this first dragon here. Which this is kind of what I was mentioning last game, is I wanted to see them have really good quality setups to like dare Scorch to walk into them. And I think this was definitely a much better setup here as they end up taking this Hextech Drake. But we see Banana Sword now moving up to the top lane after Ares ends up backing, so Scorch ends up correcting the lanes to be what they wanted them to be. But we see Ghost fighting Banana Sword quite a bit here. He takes him down to about 30% health. But Bananasaur is still on his first back. But we see Ghost Tiger ends up trying to go in and ends up taking out 1-for-1 with Bananasaur here. And that ends up completing the feats of strength for team kills for the side of Insane Banana here. So now they just need 2 more epic monsters, as they already got 1 counted for the dragon that they took, or first turret here. But quite interesting that we see now the macro of the lane swaps here, and we see Bananasaur going top lane, maybe thinking that Ghost Tiger was going to go top lane, but now Insane Bananas called their bluff and War Initiate's going top. But also quite interesting development is Bananasaur ended up buying a Warden's Mail to try and prevent a lot of this damage from Urgot coming out here, which I think is interesting. Like, I think Banana ultimately wants to get MR, and I think he wants to chase the Talia lane around. But Talia being top is also kind of where you want her, because she can't affect the map, where Bananasaur has a chance of ulting bot lane here. So I'm curious to see what build Bananasaur ends up going after this Warden's Mail here. And we see that there was a ward in this bot brush that caught Flamedog trying to lane gank there. But Calico ends up taking out some vision in the river here. But we see Ares getting picked on by Ghost Tiger here. Ghost Tiger ends up popping the Ghost here, but ends up getting a Q out to take out Ares, but Ares, with his dying breath, ends up flash ulting him into the turret here. So again, another 1-for-1 for these 2 mages that find themselves in the top lane here. We see Flamedog visiting mid here as War Initiate's doing everything he can to try and put some damage on. But Bananasaur, again with this Warden's Mail, he's very, very tanky. But Rusty ends up going bot lane here, trying to take out Crackler. Crackler does a very good job arcane shifting the buffered up Rusty ult, and then still had the flash away there. So good on the bot lane of Insane Banana to get out of that. Oh, but a little bit of a miscommunication coming out of the Insane Banana squad. But War ends up ulting Ares and ends up bringing him in and taking him out before Bananasaur could end up taking out War Initiate here. But we see Banana doing a very good job buffering the E to get out of the Stranglethorns from Flamedog. We see them invading Rusty here. But here comes Calico, and you have Ares TPing in as well here. This could be a little bit of an overreach by the Insane Banana team. Calico hits up level 6, ends up reviving Bananasaur, and both Flamedog and Ghost Tiger end up getting taken out after a little bit of an overchase here. But with that being said, Crackler does get a little bit of time to get another plate with his bottom turret. Scorch doing a very good job taking that momentum and getting a set of grubs here. see Ghost Tiger here in the mid lane getting jumped on by Bananasaur and Rusty Crow here, as it ends up being Ghost Tiger going down. But the rest of the Insane Banana Team squad is coming up top. Stranglethorn ends up hitting Rusty, but looks like he might be out. He's super low health here. Ares ends up chasing War Initiate around this this corridor here, and he ends up poking out War Initiate to the point where he can take him out. And that was kind of the matchup that Urgot was trying to avoid here. So. But here we are at the 12-minute mark, and we end up seeing the side of Insane Banana putting up a much better fight here. You see a TP in the river coming from Urgot. And it looks like Aerie caught wind of this. No, he did not. We see War ends up taking Ares out after that TP. So War ends up picking up another kill off the Urgot TP. So really good for them. See, Boomstruck gets himself a plate here. War ends up getting, I believe that's 2 plates up top. Potentially 3, depending on how this next wave goes. And Scorch ends up picking their first dragon of the game here. So both teams have a couple of stacks towards their feats of strength when it comes to epic monsters here. See Ghost Tiger in the back here ends up taking out Ares. Ares doing a really good job flashing here. Ends up playing that well to take out War Initiate. And see, oh, Ghost Tiger just got out of turret range enough to not tank that third turret shot. So ends up being a 1-for-1 between the solo laners here. And Ares ends up getting one back. But this will end up being first turret going over to the side of Insane Banana, and I believe that completes the feats of strength for them, potentially. Yes, it does, now that I'm looking at the inventory. So feats of strength done for the side of Insane Banana. I think the only ones worth building fairly soon are going to be the cooldowns and the Swifties. I think Flame Dog can hold off on the upgraded Sword boots, because those boots have the lowest gold efficiency and lowest win rate of all the feats boots. But War ends up trying to dive Ares here, but Ares puts out this turret. And you see the bot lane here of Scorch getting jumped on by Ghost Tiger. And Calico ends up reviving herself here and creates enough time to where I think Rusty could pull the trigger, potentially. You got Bananasaur here on the side. Flame Dog ends up flashing away from Banana's taunt. Oh, but nice drift by Ares getting the Urgot flash. Let's see how this game ends up progressing, because they want to get aggressive with this Insane on the Scorch side. Like, they want to get in the face of the Insane Banana comp, but they're now standing toe-to-toe with them gold-wise. Actually, they're up in gold by about 400. That it's going to be really difficult for them to walk through Zyra, Urgot, Talia, Ezreal, locking him down. Oh, and a three-person stun by Calico's Q here. Rusty ends up diving in. Bananasaur's ult ends up falling short. You know, you have 5 Rage Champions, there's not a lot. Oh, but Ares with an insane Shurima shuffle and ends up getting 3 of them here. Holy cow. But War Initiate ends up ulting Ares, gets one back. Bananasaur has the Calico ult on him, gets the revive here. So let's see if Urgot can do anything here. Ends up flipping over. Bananasaur is going to end up taking out Galio here. And that's a shutdown going over to Urgot, so War Initiate, getting picked on last game, ends up trying to get revenge on the Team Scorch as he carries that fight for Insane Banana. And we are at a dead even gold lead here. Let's see what Casper is spawning. Voracious Otacon again. War's back might get stopped. It was not.
Just wait.
See Calico walking in the Flame Dog, taking a chunk of her health bar here. War Initiate doing his best to push back Ares. But we see Insane Banana jumping on Calico here. She didn't have a chance to ult, but having a really good setup for this Fire Drake here. War just ends up having to let this one go. With 5 grubs here for the side of Scorch, I think Ares split push is what's going to kind of make or break the difference in this game. But we see Scorch trading this mid turret for the Rift Herald here. I think that's a pretty good take. Banana, who's extremely tanky here, getting jumped on by the whole Insane Banana squad. Oh, but we see Ares trying to flash out of the Seraphine ult. Ghost Tiger just barely gets away. War Initiate TP's in here. Oh, it just barely misses Ares. I think that would have been a humongous pickup. Eventually could have gotten him that mid lane turret there. But Casper ends up spawning again up in the top lane. Voracious Otacon.
There.
We see Insane Banana. Looks like they're trying to set up here for this Otacon, which I think is very smart out of their team comp. If they can get the early game setup, I'm sorry, the first move setup into these objectives, it's hard. But Bananasaur is really extremely tanky. Ares ends up TPing into the lane, which Insane Banana jumped onto them. But Bananasaur is now delivered into the middle of this team comp. War's trying to do his best here, but he's got so much support behind him, but finally ends up falling here. Flame Dog doing his best to try and stand his ground with the Zyra plants and everything. And overall, you see Ares having to back. Bananasaur, who has TP, has to back. Rusty trying to heal up off of these plants. Otacon got de-aggroed here. But let's see. Insane Banana ends up leaving Casper alone. And looks like, yeah, Ezreal's trying to back potentially on another component. Well, let's see what happens here. This is probably the first time this game where we see Scorch have a little bit of a setup. But it looks like they're honestly backing here, so see what ends up coming from this. Bananasaur still pushing mid lane. But the Galio ult's not up, so he's going to have to walk up to the top side here. Calico, she's going to back for potentially an item. Ends up picking up another pink ward in her inventory. So really all this positioning and push back and forth from Otacon hasn't done anything. Ares up in the top lane, and it looks like he's sniffing out that the Insane Banana group is coming up. Bananasaur being bot lane, he does have TP here, which I think is the deal breaker for Insane Banana posturing for this, because War Initiate does not have TP. And I would argue he's the strongest and the biggest, most important member here for Insane Banana. But he is walking up now. So it looks like we could potentially see some posturing for Otacon. But also note, we have Dragon coming up here. But Ares ends up getting split up here as Ghost Tiger ults up. And we've seen him have some nice moves, but overall couldn't dodge anything. War Initiate is likewise going to get jumped on by 4 members of Scorch, but that gives Insane Banana a chance to now do Otacon here, as they have it at about half health. You've seen the Scorch crew moving up top here. See, they're not going to be up here in time, and Otacon ends up falling to the side of Insane Banana, so really nice macro movement here from Insane Banana. Bananasaur, what are you doing here, my dude? The rest of your team is not there with you. Scorch doing a good job there, picking up the Fire Drake. So we see Bananasaur is going to get tankier and tankier. Looks like he's building quite a bit of armor here, which is interesting. I thought he would have sided for a touch more MR, being that the fact that they're diving into Talia Zyra here. But I think he wants to be able to kind of frontline and posture himself, excuse me. And be able to move his team forward instead of being like a secondary engaged via the Wukong. Rusty's taking quite a bit of damage here from the Zyra. But Zyra ends up winning that smite. I think the one to start to watch out for in a lot of these team fights is Boonstra, because as Sivir gets online more and more, these ricochet bounces are going to hurt. Oh, interesting interaction coming out there. But with the Otacon respawn coming out, War ends up taking that out. Or using it. Rusty ends up counter thwarting the dive here by Insane Banana. And Ares ends up TPing top as well here. Let's see if they continue the chase. So that only has Flame Dog going down. We see the tier 4 boots for the most part coming out. I can't say I 100% agree with the boots overall. Like, I think the Swifties and the pull-down ones are okay. Flame Dog having the Spell Slinger shoes, I just don't think is really worth it, especially upgrading this early. And the Void Staff is quite interesting because there is some MR, but the extra pin on Void Staff is very useful if there's double MR items, which it looks like there's not any coming out now. So I'm curious if something like either Crit Bloom or Bloodletters. I think Zyra is one of the few champions that applies Bloodletter's curse quite effectively. So I think that also helps Talia, but Rusty ends up getting jumped on here as he's trying to take away his own Krugs. But Ghost Tiger ends up taking him out with the help of Flame Dog. Bananasaur ends up taking down Ghost Tiger here. So it ends up being a 1-for-1. War Initiate ends up TPing behind his team here. We'll see how that ends up going. See Urgot ult coming out here. But we end up having a respawn coming out here. Now it ends up being Calico's ult. Bananasaur now in the middle of the Insane Banana team. And Ares is left freely pushing this bot lane here. So Insane Banana doing a really good job sieging this top lane turret, but losing quite a bit bot. Calico just barely dodging the Ezreal ult. I would have taken her out. But we see Bananasaur kind of man-moding this front line for Scorch here. And we see this Negatron cloak coming out here, which looks like it's going to be part of a Jack show here. So this is where I think, the Void Staff is probably going to come in handy here. But we see Scorch starting up this third Drake here. There is some cooldown still left, like Crackler's ult's down. Seraphine ult's going to come up here soon. Let's see if they end up taking this. And Scorch ends up getting this on the side of Rusty here. And ends up getting out without losing anybody. So, good third Drake here that puts him on soul point, which I think is big. So now we've got a couple seconds here. 12 kills to 16 in favor of Scorch. Scorch is up about 1,600 gold lead here. They have, they lost the feats of strength over to the side of Insane Banana, but they are on soul point here. Rusty ends up trying to trade with the Insane Banana team, but gets caught out. We see Calico ends up ulting Rusty to save him. But now, here we're talking about Boostras. When was he going to end up joining a fight? And pops off here, ends up getting a quadra kill in such a very small area. The ricochet bounces put in so much work for the Scorch team. Now they find themselves doing Baron. And this ended up being a 4v4. As War Initiate had the back, was not with his team, did not have TP as well. Now we see this this game start to slide in favor of Scorch here. And Azir, oh my god, the Azir damage is actually quite insane. Nice Nice shifting there by Ares. Unfortunately, had to burn flash, but still pretty good. We have a lot of AD coming out by Boonstra. He's already on 4 items, and with double Infernal Drink and a third one coming up here for Soul, the backline carries for Scorch are going to hit very, very hard here. And there's not much in the way of resistances coming out for the side of Insane Banana. You do have a lot of shielding and healing coming out from Seraphine and Urgot here, but overall just no resistances. And also there's no real source of anti-heal. Yeah, there's no source of anti-healing at all for the side of Insane Banana, so Boonstra's going to be very hard to take down here. We see they're chasing Ares here, and they end up taking down Ares. So Ares, while he does have 7 deaths, he's created so much pressure for the side of Scorch here. We see Scorch with his Baron now sieging this bot lane inhib. But big pushback here by Ghost Tiger, and then they end up taking down Boonstra here. I mean, Bananasaur is also now going to fall here, so that's Baron off 3 members here. They did end up taking that inhib, but you have Dragon coming up here in about 50 seconds. And like we've kind of noted and seen this game play out, Insane Banana gets the early setup. With Zyra plants, it's really hard for Scorch's side to walk into them. Calico's ult should be back up about the time she gets to the dragon. And Bananasaur will have ult, Rusty has ult, Ares has ult, Boonstra should have ult by then. Actually seen Rusty get a QSS now, holy. But Ares ends up getting poked out quite a bit by Ghost Tiger. Let's see, it looks like Scorch still wants to fight this. Bananasaur ends up TP. Oh, and a big steal by Rusty here to get the soul point. And Boonstra's on the back line right now, but Ares ends up flanking them as well. They end up taking down Boonstra and Calico. But there's a double kill going over to Ares here, and he ends up getting a triple kill. Taking out Ghost Tiger as well. So a big steal by Rusty. He continues to steal all the objectives for the side of Scorch. I think, no lie, this has to be his 6th or 7th steal. And they're all pinging the Zyra Smite. Oh, that such a feels bad. I've been on the receiving end of that. Nice flash out by Cracklers. Ares came from the bot side. This could be a potential in. No, it's not. No, they're coming up here soon. They just wanted to get the mid in here, so good on them for that. You see the scaling coming in big the last couple fights for the side of Scorch. When you have a Zir Sivir, it's very hard to outscale those 2 champions. And both champions have a form of like a self-peel or like a spell shield to get them out of trouble here. So I think both of Boonstra and Ares have played these fights really well. War Initiate ends up getting jumped on here by Ares, but ends up getting just completely chopped down. And unfortunately, burned flashed right before his dying breath there, so no flash on War Initiate here. And we see the side of Insane Banana kind of doing a death brush here, but little announced to them that they are on a ward. And we see a trap ends up getting counter set up here by Scorch. Oh, and a big surprise! And we see Threshold Day ends up getting taken out. Rusty ends up having to burn the Calico ult. See Banana Sword going after Crackler here, trying to zone him away here. This Baron goes down super fast between Sivir and Azir.
Just wait.
Note that for that whole brush play, Zyra does not have a red trinket. So all of this vision control and vision battling for the side of Insane Banana is dependent on Seraphine. Which you end up seeing 2 red trinkets coming down for the side of Scorch here. And Scorch with that team fight win ends up pushing this top turret. And we'll get another inhib down. Banana Sword burning the ult to get out of the base of Insane Banana, so maybe Insane Banana Posse has a chance of winning a team fight with this Galio ult being down, though it's at this point in the game, it's not a great big cooldown. Yeah, it's already less than a minute from being up here, so I know Galio ult has a very long cooldown at the beginning at level 6 and even level 11, but as the game goes on, these tank items have a lot of ability haste, and just the cooldown naturally goes lower with the rank ups. So, but Azir putting out just a boatload of damage with all this said and done. For this, Urgot ends up getting the hull breaker here. See if this helps out. Banana Sword gets caught by Seraphine double E, and then ends up getting pushed back here by Ghost Tiger. See if they have enough damage to take out Banana Sword, potentially. They don't, and they can't walk too much further, being that this fight's in the jungle camp. Ares is putting up a big fight. See Ghost Tiger end up taking a boatload of damage. Ares, though, taking quite a bit of damage as well. Ends up respawning from the Calico ult. But the front line for Insane Banana gets taken out as War Initiate ends up looking at a gray screen here. Nice spell shield from Boonstra off the Ezreal ult. See Flame Dog doing what he can here behind enemy lines. But he ends up backing here. Azir ends up taking out Talia here. This Azir just does oh my, just takes out Flame Dog, ends up taking out Crackler as well. Banana Sword's ult ends up being the icing on the cake here. Between Boonstra and Ares in this late game, they end up doing a boatload of damage. And that is Team Scorch winning a 41-minute banger in Game 2 and moving on to the next round. That was Azir top. And the chat is asking for an interview. And we will have an interview here for our winners.
Ready, Spencer? Let me show you how.
Hey, shut up.
Oh, hi. Hey, Sean, Guilty is here.
No, show us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Where is it? You ready for this? Look what happened to this other guy, bro. He got styled, dog.
Oh no.
What's
You
up,
see this?
CLT? How's it going?
What's
This is gonna
up?
be. That's despicable.
And the best part, the emote.
All right,
Okay.
CLT, I told my team I have something very important to say.
Oh
That I
no.
really need to get off my chest. And I wanted to preface this by saying I respect them as people, but as opponents, I don't know what they did. I offered and I insisted we handshake, don't play Mel this week. And then they had the gall to let us first pick it and then ban it on Blue Side Game 2. That is diabolically stupid. I'm so sorry. That is ridiculous. And I have no respect for that choice in their draft.
All right, Rusty. Tell me how you really feel, brother.
Actually, it was okay. I respect it.
Oh, man.
That got me so heated. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Well, Rusty, I'm going to question you first, then. I'm not going to give you a chance to chill out.
Okay.
What? I know this is a rematch from Group A, and anybody else can feel free to chip in here. What, did you feel like this matchup was pretty similar to what you guys faced in Group A, or that this team and the same banana improved, or the lineup change definitely helped them going into this playoff series here?
I think the lineup change was good in that I think War Initiate, like when he was playing mid, he kept playing the Nautilus mid, which I just don't think is very effective. And so I think putting him back in the top lane where his champion pool is a little bit better and like he's more comfortable, I think definitely helped them. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, we just had a good game. Like obviously we played them before we beat them, so we had a good idea of what we wanted to do, and we made some minor tweaks just based off of the roster change. But overall, we still had a very similar and solid game plan coming in.
All right, cool. Banana.
It was
Yeah.
less boring because he didn't play Soraka twice in bot lane this time.
Yeah. Banana, gonna come to you, man. How's it feel subbing for a group that's been playing together for so long? Have you you seem to be looking better and better every series.
It feels pretty nice being undefeated. I'm basically 4-0 this season, so I think I'm a bit of a magic charm for him.
Oh gosh.
It comes down to my incredibly humble attitude.
Oh yeah? Okay. Well, I will say thanks for letting me have the one rare game that you lost the split. It wasn't a series, it was a game. I'm gonna hold on to that. But
That's true.
yeah, but no, I commended you when we played you guys. You looked really good. And I've exchanged a lot of messages with some of the other members that you've definitely improved and looked very comfortable with this team. Did you put a lot of games in on Mel before that first game?
That was, I think, my third or fourth game of Mel, but I like to play artillery mages like Xerath, Vel'Koz, Ziggs are all champs that are 100% in my pool, and she feels very similar to them, Lux as well. So, if you know how to play those champs, I'd say you can pick up Mel fast.
Okay, cool. Ares, why this top of zero, bro?
The Shuriva Emperor himself, dude. He's just so fun to play. Pretty easy to pull off, to be honest. And not a lot of champions can actually match him in lane and out of lane once he's scaled up. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the team comps were interesting both games because you both were like, "Hey, please run into us," but that second game is like you just picked a better, almost like a better version of that because it's like if they ever overstep, Azir and Sivir just mindlessly do a boatload of damage.
Oh yeah, if they come into us, we're ready for that. And on top of that, we also have way better engage on top of it if we ever catch them out, as you saw before, in the games.
Yeah, what was the comms like during that when you guys they were sitting on the ward? There were 4 men on the ward and brush cheese.
Oh man,
So we had
He told
seen
me
the
to-
sweepers fall off just before they saw the ward, and we just saw them sitting there. And so at first we're like, okay, we can pick up the Zyra real quick, but then we saw them just slowly stack the bush, and so we called up a play to just completely collapse on them. And you saw we worked it out. I had a nice flank off the edge. The Galliot came off the top, and we just jumped on their faces and scattered them. So it was really nice because it's the correct play, right? They're behind in the game. It's a big objective coming up. They need to do something. It's just unlucky for them that there was that word there that allowed us to just take the fight that we wanted on our terms.
Comps for us giggling like school children.
Yeah, Rusty
I
just told me to
should.
go look stupid.
if you guys haven't watched like much of the streams, I always put the team chats on, and you guys just flooded it with pinging Rusty, Rusty's Wukong. Like, please
Oh,
engage.
that was just me. That was only just me. Yeah.
Oh man, that was I sat there and I just like, this is a feels bad moment, but this could also be like epic if Zyra has a boatload of plants and you just die on the first engage kind of thing. But no, I agreed with what they were doing, but man, it feels bad not to sweep that brush. I thought it was interesting that the jungler wasn't. He was on blue trinket, not red trinket.
Yeah,
During that whole game.
I think it's because it's Zyra. She's like, like someone like Xin Sao, Wukong, they can sweep her because they can get in there, clear it, and get away. Zyra's more of a maze. You don't really want to be walking into bushes to sweep them, so it makes sense to not get it. Like, I would do the same kind of thing. Like, if I'm ever playing like a Talia, I don't like to take sweepers as much, just because you're a longer range. You're not meant to be up there sweeping wards, and so it kind of makes sense in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Well, last thing before I'll let you guys go. Next week, you guys get TK Benchers. What's your thoughts going into that matchup?
We're excited. We played them for the tiebreaker and we lost the one game, but I think we felt it was very winnable. Like we didn't feel like we were completely outclassed, so we're just excited to get a little bit of a rematch there and get to play them in a full series, to kind of play to our strengths and just try to work out how we want to attack them.
Nice. So probably see more Mel unless it gets banned after that game one.
It should.
I think she's pick or ban right now.
I haven't watched the other series, but I'm planning on going over to it. But yeah, when I seen the Mel B1, I was like, okay, this is... First of all, it made sense that Banana would be the one to pick it, because it seems like his kind of champion. But then picking Corky into it was interesting. So, but
she's very flexible.
That, so.
Very flexible. Okay, so Calico gets to play it next week. Is that what I'm hearing?
Or Max. I mean, we have 3 people.
Kenny.
Maybe even
Or me. Don't
out
forget
there.
Aries, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
It might just be a first pick and then fit it in wherever it works best, kind of deal.
Yeah.
We're still out on the jungle pick.
That seems
I'll
to
probably
be
sit jungle.
that seems to be your guys' style. You're like, what looks good in draft? Okay, who's playing it?
I
I think
mean,
it's very helpful in that regard, just be able to have so many flex picks across so many players and roles, and like things like Azir, who you wouldn't really think is a flexible option, but being able to pull it out like in the top lane, obviously, it's just really helpful in terms of drafting because we can kind of force drafts to go a certain direction by baiting stuff in, and so it's really fun. It makes drafting much more fun and easy, and I think it provides for more interesting games when there's so many more options in Champ Select.
Cool. Well, congrats on the victory. Congrats to Insane Banana for making it this far. I know last week was kind of hectic for them, and you guys ended up saving them, and then ended up taking them out. So, funny how that ended up working like that. But, congrats again. I know you guys have had kind of an up and down season, especially with your mid laner not playing as much as probably he wants to, but I think you got a pretty sizable sub here. Banana's looking really solid, so I'm excited to see you guys against TK Benchers and repping Group A and continuing to do that. So,
Thank you, sir.
alrighty, well that'll be it for us today. Y'all have fun, and I think the other series is still going on. If anybody wants to chime in on that one, so
yeah, for sure.
yep.
GG.
GG's. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for casting.
Oh, not a problem. It's the least I can do. So we're just gonna end it here.